Previously on The Naked Kayak. So, back at work, taking all the clamps and the paper and all that stuff off, and getting my first look at what this thing came out like after glue up. Now, some people believe that using a lot of glue is a waste. Some people believe that you can never use too much glue. I don't really know where I fall on that, but I definitely know that I need to scrape things off with a scraper after I'm done. And realistically, doing all this scraping is a little bit pointless because I'm just going to shove it through the sander repeatedly. But I don't like to abuse the sander by running a lot of glue through if I can scrape it by hand first. Now, after scraping, I'm going to use a glue gun and I'm going to glue it down on top of a sled with a little wedge of wood at the tip. What that's going to do is it's going to tip the pizza peel up at an angle and kind of taper it. And I ran out of glue there and I had to swap out for another glue stick, and the glue stick that I swapped out for is a different brand. And so it ended up being a little bit small. You'll see me kind of trying to compensate for that later. Now, I did have one side of the pizza peel that was supposed to be the top and one side that's supposed to be the bottom. And the reason why that's important is because the biscuits are lower from or farther from one edge than they are from the other. And as I'm sanding and trying to get that taper, I don't want to sand through to the biscuits if I sanded on the wrong side too much. It ended up happening anyway, but you do what you can. So running it through the sander, Mr. Delers was really nice and showed me how to use it. The funny thing is, before that, I'd never turned on the sander by myself before. There had always been someone around to turn it on for me. And he taught me how to use it, and so, there you go. You shove it in one side, goes through, and it comes out the other. It's kind of weird, because it's kind of like the pizza ovens at places like Little Caesars. In any case, using a chisel off the wedge of wood that I had on the end, clean that up a little bit, and then I will glue it back down with a thicker wedge from the other side, I think. And there you go. I type you guys a message instead of talking. Do a lot of talking. Glue, glue, glue. So now I'm going to glue it down with the other side facing up. And so this would be the top that is exposed now. And I will run that through the sander. And I think later on I put an even thicker bit of wood under the end, give it even more aggressive taper. So you run it through. Again, you shove it in one side, comes out the other. I ran it through that machine about 800 billion times. So I definitely got my steps in that day. There you go. Putting on a thicker piece of wood, getting even more steep taper. And actually, I think I was still working on the bottom, last one, and this is the top. Now I'm working on the top. There you go. Look at me figuring things out. And again, run it through about 800 billion times and get your steps in. And then there you go. Scrape off the glue. And a nicely tapered pizza peel. I think it's kind of cool, but I made a thing in order to make a thing. So this is just some MDF, and I'm cutting it into strips, and I'm going to use those strips to make a sled that will ride on the table saw fence, and I can use that so that I can safely cut the end of the pizza peel. Now there's actually a couple different ways to do this, and I chose to do it this way. Me tapping on things, trying to get things straight. One of the boards that I cut was just a spacer so that the edges would be all lined up and straight. And then I'm using the spacer as a guide so that I don't drive any nails into the wrong place. So here the board is on that sled that I made, and I've got the blade guard off, tapping on the fence there, get it all right exactly where I want it, and I'm going to run it through, and I actually wasn't happy with it, so I think I ran it through again, but somehow the back of the pizza peel didn't end up lined up perfectly, so I'm trimming that down with the bandsaw. Got a little awkward because the handle sticks out. If it wasn't a through handle, then you'd be able to cut that on the table saw, but it is what it is. So while I was at the bandsaw, I went ahead and tapered the handle, make that kind of nice. That kind of comfortable in your hand. So I was talking to the guy who I was making this for, and he thought that it would be better if the end was rounded instead of flat, because that would help them get it underneath pizzas when they try to get them out of the oven. So at home, on the Chef Smith, I decided to go ahead and round out the tip. I don't know if you saw that, but it's pretty windy outside that night. And the door of the shed blowing back and forth. There's actually a hook to hold the door in place, but I'd use it at that point. And then after I trimmed it off, I went ahead and followed that edge with the angle grinder. Now I could have done the entire thing with the angle grinder from the beginning, but I didn't. This piece of plastic is actually a piece of plastic that I cut for my wife because she wanted to keep the cats from getting toys stuck underneath the stove. And I'm just using that as a flexible edge so that I can mark out a curve, and I can round this edge a little bit. Do that on both sides. It's actually a really nice thing about the Shopsmith is it's a pretty big bandsaw, so I can get away with doing some big things on it. And back to the assembly table to get that edge kind of sharpened up. I have the same taper as the front, and you can really see there where the biscuits are poking through. Next time I'll carry those a little deeper. So now it's time for sanding. Now some people don't like sanding, but I actually do. I don't mind it. I like the way things end up feeling. You'll see me running my hand over the board while I'm sanding, and I'm kind of feeling for the grain, feeling the roughness, feeling whether or not I'm making a difference, feeling for where it needs more work.
So now I'm going to work on the handle and making the handle something that's comfortable, so I'm going to round it all over.
Okay, angle grinder, running along the handle there and rounding off those edges. At some point, go ahead and round off the end of the handle there. Well, I guess it'll be like the pommel. And then I start sanding the whole thing. Try to make the handle a little nice and neat. Because it was rounded, and it's a little bit difficult to sand the pommel and stuff like that as well as you'd like.
Alright, so this is my first attempt at a pizza peel. The front is tapered and it goes back. The handle is a little bit thin and I'm a bit concerned about that, but it's a through handle. My thought is that you will, carry it here. So it's not really, you're not putting the weight or the strain on like the thinnest part of the handle. And I don't know how much a pizza weighs. So the front is tapered to help get it, under the pizza. Now, in a couple of places, like here on the edge and here on the back, the biscuits that I used to join it are showing through a little bit. This is the bottom, and given that the person who's getting it is getting it, and I guess you get what you get, and you don't get upset. So this is my version of a pizza peel.